You're watching TAG TV.
Hello viewers, I'm your host Chandrakala Chaudhary with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with India, which celebrated its 72nd Independence Day on 15th August. From the ramparts of the Red Fort in Delhi to the hinterlands of the country, Indians celebrated the day with great enthusiasm and a patriotic fervour. We bring you a report. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the Independence Day celebrations of the country as he unfurled the national flag at ramparts of Red Fort in Delhi on 15th August. While addressing the nation for the fifth time since assuming office in 2014, Modi used the platform to broadcast his government's achievements and its continuous efforts in the welfare of the common people of the country. Modi also unveiled Indian plan to take the Indian tricolour to space in a manned mission, which would make India the fourth nation to launch one after the United States, Russia and China.
मां भारत का कोई संतान, चाहे बेटा हो या बेटी, कोई भी हो सकता है, वे अंतरिक्ष में जाएंगे, हाथ में तिरंगा झंडा लेकर के जाएंगे। आजादी के 75 साल के पहले सपने को पूरा करना है।
He also announced the launch date of a previously announced medical insurance scheme. Modi Care aims to cover over approximately 50 crore beneficiaries and provide health cover up to ₹5 lakh per family per year. The program is being called the world's largest health protection scheme.
योजना को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए 25 सितंबर पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय की जन्म जयंती पर पूरे देश में ये प्रधानमंत्री जन आरोग्य अभियान लॉन्च कर दिया जाएगा और उसका परिणाम ये होने वाला है कि देश के गरीब व्यक्ति में अब बीमारी के संकट से जूझना नहीं पड़ेगा।
Celebrating another aspect of the Independence Day, the kite flying, the skies of northern India were covered with vibrant kites flying in the sky, telling the tale of the country's independence. Residents of capital city of New Delhi gathered on their terraces and flew kites while playing music with their friends and relatives.
I'm here to buy kites, to fly them and to celebrate Independence Day. Celebrate the spirit of freedom and of elevating high in the sky, which India is anyway is going up now.
पूरे देशवासियों को स्वतंत्रता दिवस की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देना चाहता हूं। और दूसरा, मैं पतंगे जो हैं हम लोग तरह तरह की मुरादाबाद से, और टोपियाला है, मांग्याला है और कई तरीके की पतंगे लेकर आए हैं, जिससे आज जो हम लोग पूरे देश में जो है पतंग उड़ाकर इसको जो है मना रहे हैं।
The end of the Independence Day was marked with a colourful beating retreat ceremony at Atari Wagha border in Indian state of Punjab. The ceremony was attended by hundreds of spectators where border security force in elaborate uniforms goose step, shake hands brusquely across the border line, scowl aggressively at each other and proceed as usual amid heightened security. For an extra adrenaline treat for the spectators, popular Indian composer and singer Kailash Kher gave a top-notch performance amid the cheers of the Indian audience. India achieved its independence from the colonial British rule on August 15, 1947, ending more than 200 years of rule. Moving on to Afghanistan, where the security situation has become increasingly volatile after the Taliban carried out several attacks in Kabul and stormed into the city of Ghazni. Much of the damage was done before the Afghan forces, with the support of the US forces, took control of the strategically key parts of Ghazni. In a battle that went for days, the Talibani fighters assumed control of numerous parts of Ghazni before Afghani troops fought back. But some parts of Ghazni still remain under the Taliban's control. There were numerous suicide bombings and gunning in the capital city of Kabul, as well as unrest continued in Afghanistan. A report.
In what came as a surprise to both the Afghan as well as the US forces, the Talibani insurgents stormed into the city of Ghazni, carrying out severe attacks. The diplomats in Kabul also confirmed that the attacks came as a surprise to even the ruling establishment in Afghanistan. About 100 members of the Afghan forces were killed along with nearly 200 insurgents and 20 civilians in the attack that continued for days in Ghazni.
پیام ما به مردم افغانستان و به مردم شریف ولایت غزنی ای است که نیروهای دلیر امنیتی هر لحظه آماده به این هستند که
While the fight raged in Ghazni, a suicide bomber in Kabul set off a deadly blast near a crowd of protesters at the Election Commission in Afghan capital. In the blast, at least one police officer lost his life while another was severely wounded. In the capital city of Afghanistan, gunmen attacked an area around a security base and training center for Afghanistan's intelligence service in another attack. Staff and officials at the center took shelter in a protected area of the compound as gunfire, allegedly by the insurgents of the Taliban, came from half-finished buildings near the site. In yet another attack in Kabul, a suicide bombing allegedly by the Taliban insurgents killed 48 people, including 34 students at an education center. Taliban, however, denied the responsibility of the attacks on students.
عمل کار است که دیگه غیر انسانی است، غیر بشری است. یعنی در تمام دنیا هیچ انسان این جنایت انجام نمیده. هیچ انسان حتی حیوان به حیوان رحم میکنه ولی این انسان ها به حیوان رحم نمیکنه.
While the situation remained grim in Kabul, the battle in Ghazni forced the local residents to flee from the city as intense fighting exposed the government's failure to prevent the fall of strategic southeastern province to the Taliban, which lies on the main highway linking capital city Kabul. Although Afghan government claimed the situation was improving and they were fighting the lost territories back, Taliban claimed they still had control over much of the city.
With general elections nearing in Afghanistan, the severity of attacks by the armed Taliban insurgents has only been mounting in the last few weeks. The full-fledged attack on Ghazni and the reports of shootings and suicide bombings add to the tension ahead of October's election and raises questions over the threat posed by the armed insurgents, especially Taliban. We are now joined by Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, a defense expert from Pune, to speak further on the prevailing situation in Afghanistan. Mr. Mahajan, how do we analyze the present security situation of Afghanistan when the insurgent groups are rapidly gaining ground and controlling territories in the country?
The present situation in Afghanistan is definitely serious. As per the United Nations report, 57% of the Afghan territory is under the control of the Afghan government. 30% of the territory is being contested by the Afghan army with various insurgent groups, and approximately 13% of the territory has been taken over by the various insurgent groups. Mind you, these are United Nations / Afghan army / Afghan government figures. In actual, the area held by the insurgents is much more than what is being claimed. Fighting is going on almost at every place. While it is claimed that some area is under the government control, suicide bombing attacks, IEDs, etc. are causing toll even in the capital capital city of Kabul. So really speaking, even in the area which is held by the government forces, the level of violence is very high.
Do you believe that the environment is conducive in Afghanistan for the elections, and if not, then what are the immediate challenges that Afghan government should be working on to save and sustain the democracy in the country?
The situation today in Afghanistan is serious. So therefore, whether to hold elections now or not, the time is definitely not ripe. I think the immediate goal of the Afghan government should be to reduce the level of violence, especially in the area held by the government forces, increase the area under the occupation of the government, and also stop the forward march of the various insurgent groups. Unless the situation is stabilized tactically and strategically, unless the level of violence goes down, it will not be appropriate to hold elections there, because the elections would be held under the fear of gun.
Afghanistan has often blamed Pakistan for the instability in it. Do you think Pakistan is going to change its devious policies after the regime change?
Pakistan will never change its policy. Pakistan is obsessed with what is called as the strategic debt. Having lost 4 wars to India, that is in 1947, 65, 71 and also in 99, Pakistan always thought that it cannot meet the Indian army on a conventional battlefield. So therefore, it thinks that it requires depth in Afghanistan where Pakistani army can withdraw should Pakistan get cut into 2 halves. But traditionally, Afghanistan has never provided any depth to Pakistan. Pakistan is also interested in having a regime of its choice, that is in this case the Taliban in Afghanistan. It also feels that Afghanistan is its backyard and it is presently helping China in gaining a foothold in Afghanistan, because China in particular wants to replace USA as the only superpower in the world. It has got a lot of ambitions in Afghanistan because it wants to exploit raw minerals there. And also China and Pakistan think that by being in Afghanistan, they are able to provide depth to the China-Pakistan economic corridor.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mahajan. Pakistan has for years been trying to subvert the peace and harmony of India. However, all of its attempts have not only been thwarted but have been given a befitting reply. Now, a desperate Islamabad has resorted to radicalizing the Sikh secessionists across Europe and America in order to further its anti-India agenda. Recently, in the line of its anti-India nefarious designs, Pakistan actively supported Referendum 2020, a futile exercise being carried out a handful of ISI-backed radicals. However, it failed yet again as it gathered no traction amongst the mass. A report. The much talked about Referendum 2020, designed and conceived by Pakistan, turned out to be a damn squib, as it barely drew any anti-India support at Trafalgar Square in London on 12th August. A handful of aging Sikhs and some local white people who had come just out of curiosity were the audience to listless speeches by the Khalistani elements. British Pakistani Lord Nazir Ahmed, who was formerly in the Labour Party and then thrown out for his political views and for indiscipline, was among the speakers. Ahmed, who calls himself as a sympathizer for Kashmiris and Sikhs, spoke of breaking up Punjab and all of India. His open participation at the Trafalgar Square event exposes Pakistan's direct financial and logistic support to the event. Sikh separatists, including the chief of Dal Khalsa, a Sikh separatist based in London, Jaswant Singh Thekadar, has widely condemned Pakistan-backed propaganda.
एक कार्टून जिसनों स्टार्ट ही पाकिस्तानी करना जिसनों लॉर्ड नजीर स्टार्ट करे और स्पीच नाल के मैं खालिस्तान दी ते कश्मीर दी हिमायत कर रहा उन्हों की हक है खालिस्तान दी हिमायत करने दा वो तो अज तक कश्मीर आज़ाद नहीं करा सके खालिस्तान आज़ाद वो कित्थों कराउणगे ते पर इस तो साफ जिहड़ा दिस रहा सी कि ये पाकिस्तानी जिहड़े आ वो अपना मकसद विच पास होए आ.
The organizer of the event, Gurpatwant Singh Panun, who is a New York-based lawyer, is also having close associate of prominent Sikh extremists like Jakhtar Singh Ktara of Khalistan Tiger Force and UK-based Paramjit Singh Pamma. The way Panun spoke at the event clearly shows that he is a Pakistani Punjabi. Some 2,500 people gathered at Trafalgar Square were confused about the so-called non-binding Referendum 2020 for Punjab independence. Jaswant Singh Thekadar accused Panun for working as Pakistani stooge.
ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੱਟ ਸੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਤਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਪੰਥਕ ਜਥੇਬੰਦੀ ਯੂਕੇ ਚੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੀ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਪੰਥਕ ਲੀਡਰ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਏ ਨੇ. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ 2 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੈਸਾ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕੀਤਾ. 2 ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਪਰਮਾਨੈਂਟ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹਾਇਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ और रेडियो स्टेशन दे उत्ते भी इन्होंने किया और ये सारा पैसा जिहड़ा वा वो सानू इंज लगदा कि गुआढ़ी देश जिहड़ा वो खर्च कर रहा सी और ये इकट्ठ भी जे कहिए पाकिस्तानी अप्रोच वाले सिख सन ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਖਾਲਸਾਨੀ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਉਹ ਸਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਥ ਦਰਦੀ ਆ ਪੰਥ ਦਰਦੀ ਹੁੰਦਿਆਂ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੈਕਿੰਗ ਆ ਗੁਆਂਢੀ ਦੇਸ਼ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਠ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੰਥ ਇਕੱਠ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝਾਂਗੇ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਗਲਾ 1.5 ਸਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ 2020 ਦਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਪਰ ਉਹ ਗੈਰ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਾ ਵੋਟਿੰਗ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੈਲਿਊ ਨਹੀਂ
A large number of Indians living in UK also gathered at Trafalgar Square and sung patriotic songs to counter Pakistan-backed referendum 2020 event. They sent out a message of united India to the world. The presence of a huge number of Indians at the venue was indicative of the fact that Pakistan's attempt to infiltrate the harmonious culture of India was yet again foiled. Moving on to the Maldives, where the political turmoil that erupted after the imposition of emergency earlier this year has not subsided yet. The opposition, which has repeatedly accused Abdullah Yameen of being a despotic leader, has escalated its protest against him ahead of the presidential elections slated 23rd September and has called for the restoration of democratic structure in its true sense. A group of intellectuals met in Indian capital New Delhi to discuss the prevailing situation in the country. A report.
Amid the ongoing political turmoil in the island nation, the civil society members from Maldives have called for the restoration of democracy in the country. Recently, a panel of senior journalists, lawyers, and representatives from NGO attended a roundtable discussion on the current situation of the Maldives in New Delhi. The objective was to identify avenues for the greater collaboration among national and international civil society members to address restriction in the civic space, media, freedom of speech and peaceful assembly in Maldives. Maldives has been facing instability as President Abdullah Yameen and his government has cracked down on the opposition political parties, curtailed fundamental freedoms and repeatedly violated the Maldives' international human rights obligation.
The situation is very tense and chaotic, I think. We've been seeing the state, different components of the state and the government going backward on democratic norms, which has opened up space to question the freedom and fairness of the election itself. So the situation is critical, I would say.
In February 2018, Yameen declared a state of emergency, restricted constitutional rights, suspended forces and curtailed authority of the judiciary. In the ensuing crisis, the government arrested 2 Supreme Court judges along with several others. They have sought help from the international community to have free and fair presidential elections scheduled to be held on 23rd September this year.
We are actually asking that the international community and international organizations observe and be engaged with the process in the Maldives, and in order to ensure a democratic process, I think the international community needs to be aware of what is going on and speak out when there is a necessity to speak out.
It doesn't seem like the political prisoners are going to be released regardless of the Supreme Court statement, order to release them. Therefore, I feel like if we wait, we're just going to keep waiting, and the authoritarian government that we have right now is just going to increase their power and possibly figure out more ways to rig the elections.
The Maldivian government has repeatedly disregarded the opinions and urgings of the UN Human Rights Committee. Earlier, a UN working group on arbitrary detention condemned the trial of former President Nasheed and his conviction for 13 years on terrorism charges. More recently, the UN Human Rights Committee urged the Maldivian government to allow opposition candidates, including former President Nasheed, to run for office in the upcoming primaries. The government rejected the committee's directive, pointing Article 109 of the Constitution, which prohibits any individual who has been convicted of a criminal offence and sentenced to more than 12 months from running the office.
India has repeatedly urged the Maldivian government to allow all the institutions, including the Supreme Court and Parliament, to function in a free and independent manner and to permit genuine political dialogue between all political parties. As the month of monsoon, referred to as month of Shravan, is approaching to an end, the season of festivities has begun in parts of India and neighbouring Nepal. While tens of thousands of devotees of Lord Rama gathered in northern Uttar Pradesh's Ayodhya to attend the annual monsoon fair, Nag Panchami was celebrated across India and Nepal. Take a look. The holy city of Ayodhya, also known as the birthplace of Lord Rama, witnessed an assemblage of tens of thousands of devotees who congregated to attend the Ayodhya Sawan Chula Mela and the Mani Parvat Mela. The fair is held every year in the month of monsoon. Attended by millions of devotees, the 15-day-long fair is believed to free them from materialism. Devotees believe that those who attend the celebrations at this fair and swing the children dressed up as Hindu Lord Krishna and his consort Radha get eternal peace.
मणि पर्वत पर हम ठाकुर जी को झूला झूलाने आए हैं। यहाँ जो ठाकुर जी को झूला झूलाता है उसको आवागमन के चक्कर से मुक्त हो जाते हैं और अयोध्या धाम में वो सदा के लिए निवास करते हैं। मणि पर्वत का अर्थ है जहाँ जनक जी मणि का ढेर लगा दिए थे सीता जी के लिए, उसी मणि पर्वत का हम लोग दर्शन करने आए हैं। यहाँ से जो मणि पर्वत का मिट्टी ले जाते हैं उनके घर में धन दौलत का कोई कमी नहीं रहता है।
The devotees believe that by just attending the fair they are freed and forgiven of all their past sin. The popular saying as per Hindu religious text suggests that those who attend the fair in Ayodhya attend salvation.
अगर सम्मिलित होते हैं और उत्सव में भाग लेते हैं तो वास्तव में उनको बहुत ही पुण्य प्राप्त होता है। और अयोध्या, हाँ, लिखा है चार खान जग जीव पारा, अवध तजे तन नहीं संसारा। ये मोक्षदायिनी नगरी है। अयोध्या, मथुरा, माया, काशी, कांची, अवंतिका, पूरी द्वारावती, चोर सप्तैता, मोक्षदायिका, ये सप्तपुरियों में मस्तक है।
Nag Panchami is another festival where devotees worship snakes or serpents in the month of monsoon. The festival was celebrated across India and in parts of Nepal. On this day, worshippers observe a fast throughout the day, and there is a general belief that feeding milk to snakes rids people of their problems. People also avoid plugging or digging the earth on this auspicious occasion, as it could harm and anger the snakes which resides underneath.
हैन त्यो चाहिँ एउटा किसानले चाहिँ एउटा खेतबारी चाहिँ हलो जोत्या रहेछ, जोत्या बेला चाहिँ त्यो नागको परिवारहरु सबै चाहिँ मरेछन् के, त्यो मरेपछि अनि उले त्यो नागले चाहिँ मेन आउने चाहिँ मेरो बच्चाहरु सबै मार्यो तिमीले, अब तिम्रो परिवारलाई म छोड्दिन भनेर पछि उले सबै परिवारलाई चाहिँ उले गरेपछि त्यसमध्ये एउटा को बाँकी छ परिवार भन्छ उसले छोरी भनेर, छोरीको नि बिहे भइसक्या रहेछ, बिहे भइसक्या रहेछ। अब त्यसपछि अब कहाँ छ भने फलान ठाउँमा गएको होला। त्यो दिन चाहिँ नागपञ्चमीको दिन चाहिँ त्यो बिहे गरेको केटी चाहिँ छोरी चाहिँ नागको पूजा गर्न आएपछि अनि फर्केर आएछ, फर्के भन्न उसलाई चाहिँ आशीर्वाद दिएर एकदम राम्रो होस् भनेर चाहिँ एकदम चाहिँ खास त्यो हिसाबको कुरा हो।
In India, devotees were seen queuing up in various temples in northern Allahabad and Varanasi cities to worship serpent deities and live snakes, and they also made offerings to the idol. With the fairs in Ayodhya and the Nag Panchami in parts of Nepal and India, the festivities have commenced in the parts of South Asia in the holy month of Shravan. With that, we have come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.
You're watching TAG TV.